Hey guys, Tune for Speed, and today we're going to be talking about the most common problems for the Ae92. Now, if you are just tuning in, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more Ae92 Toyota, 4AGE, or even car content. Now, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Alright guys, so this Ae92 is a beloved example of the GTS coupe. In this case, an 89 with the typical big port 4AGE engine. So when we dive into the actual mechanical aspects of the car, a lot of common failure points that you see when you are detailing these cars is the cooling system. So typically in higher mileage, the thermostat sometimes tends to go out, as well as the cooling fan not turning on. When that happens, generally it's this relay over here, the cooling fan relay. Generally the fan goes pretty bad on these, so you could generally see the fan relays. So these are it. You could swap them out with the horn to see if the fan's working, but generally it's this cooling fan that doesn't turn on. Once you replace that relay, the car won't overheat anymore, so you won't generally have any issues with that. Now, since we are on the topic of temperature, the cooling sensor, the temperature sensor for these 4AGEs in specific is right down here. Now, sometimes the ground isn't good, the sensor doesn't sense maybe, or this cable's bad, and you won't get a good reading, so you got to be careful. Sometimes it shows that you're, you know, maybe halfway at the cool, and then sometimes the ground may catch or something, and then you'll see it overheating, and the car's actually overheating, which is what happened to my other Corolla. I blew the engine just from that sensor. So definitely make sure that sensor's ground's good so you don't overheat your car. And since we're in this area already, the freaking battery hold down always goes bad. Basically how they look like is they grab like this and then hold on to this chassis, but they're always either missing, they're always damaged, they always don't even hold in the battery. So right now I'm holding it in with zip ties. Not the best way to do it, but at least it's not moving around too much. So the battery hold down is always a bad thing that always goes bad on these cars. Now, straying away from that scary stuff, let's go into a little bit of the minor common problems. Now the minor common problems is it starts to leak at the headers or it starts to leak at the flex pipe. If you have a severe bad header, sometimes it cracks at the header. So make sure you take a look, make sure you don't see any cracks on the header, because of the high temperature, I guess, it does crack. So be aware, definitely don't forget to check that out. All right, so now diving into more of the oil leaks that you'll generally see as common problems is you'll generally see it leaking at the valve cover seal right here, the valve cover seal over here in the back, and then sometimes generally it does leak over here. There's an O-ring on this distributor. Sometimes it may leak and you'll see the oil right here. Mine's leaking currently right there. So yeah, so oil leaks here, and then sometimes, rarely, very rarely, it does leak at the oil pressure line down there that connects to the oil pan, and then sometimes as well right here. So those are the common leak points. If your 4AGE does leak, it's generally in those areas. And speaking of leaks, sometimes this is aftermarket hose, but the stock ones are rubber, and generally they crack. You don't see them, but they dry rot and they crack. Sometimes you can't see it, and it causes idle issues. It causes your idle to go up and down. It causes a lot of bad issues. So make sure either you replace it with an aftermarket one, or you replace it so you don't have any vacuum leaks or high RPM idling. But yeah, that's definitely one of the most common issues that I see a lot of people face. Now, when it comes to more of the ignition side, the cables generally always go bad. If you have a misfire, replace them, and then replace the spark plug since you're already at it. Also, the cap, sometimes it gets pretty worn, so when you do the cap, do the cables, might as well do the cap. It's pretty cheap, and then there's a rotor inside it. Change out that rotor. You should be pretty smooth, pretty good on the ignition side. Once you address all these things, it's very simple, very easy, and very reliable after that point. Now, another one of the biggest things that we face in the Ae92, regardless if you're a sedan, a coupe, GTS, whatever, it is the motor mounts. Now, the motor mounts typically break or get worn at the front right here. As you can see, there's one in the way back by the transmission down there, and then sometimes these side ones, but usually it's a front or it's a rear motor mount that generally go bad, and you'll feel the car kind of shaking a lot or slightly in general. So definitely replace those motor mounts with either OEM, or a lot of people tend to go poly mounts and use a poly mount motor mount to help fix the issues that they generally have when it comes to motor mounts. And a little bit of bonus, since we're already in the engine area, these pop-up headlights tend to go out a lot for some people. So generally either one stays up stuck, one goes down, sometimes they don't go at the same time, but these motors tend to go out. So definitely replacing those motors. I know they're hard to come by. Definitely check out Facebook groups and stuff so you can help find and source it. Also, when it comes to that idling issue, sometimes this sensor may go bad. So when, you know, it's idling really rough, up and down, disconnect that sensor right here. If it fixes it, then that means this is bad. Mine's disconnected right now because it's bad. So if also you can adjust your idle, there's a screw right here. So you put a screwdriver turning it left or right and it adjusts your idle to help fix your idle too. So definitely check out all those points where it may leak that may be causing it. Also, it might be that your radiator fluid is low, so definitely change out the coolant or add more coolant and it might help the idle as well. So definitely check those out. All right guys, and this is some of the common issues you can expect to see when you have an Ae92 if it's starting to have any issues or similar issues to it. They're very strong, reliable cars, so definitely don't be discouraged from getting one. So hope this helped you guys out. If you are looking for more Ae92 4AGE or even car content, be sure to subscribe and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.